With the tight economy, families are becoming aware of the need to budget and check their expenses. But is there also the need to save? My guest this morning is David Kofi Wakon. He's chairman of World Vision Financial Services Limited, formerly of the Bank of Ghana. And his company says answering tomorrow's questions today. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here on my banner this morning. So good morning to you, David.
Good morning. Good morning.
So, do we necessarily have to save?
Savings is part of life. Really, we have to save. Let me just answer simply. Yes, we necessarily have to save.
It doesn't matter how much you earn?
It doesn't matter how much you earn. We necessarily have to save. The question you ask yourself is, why must we save? I know you'll get there, but let me just jump the gun. We must save for tomorrow, for a rainy day, for events you cannot really talk about today, because life is dynamic, life continues. There are a lot of issues about life, so we must necessarily save. I know we will explain further. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you break it down? I mean, if you look at what you earn and you consider the school fees, you have to give your partner some money, what is left is not really huge. How do you break it down and decide that I'm going to put this down at the end of the month?
Okay, let me go by the basic economics that we learn from maybe our O-levels and whatever. We call something economics. Economics simply tell us that in life we have so many needs, so many things we must handle, but the resources to address this issue are limited. Leaving it there, we talk about money. If you talk about savings, it's coming down definitely to money.
Money, yes.
So when you study money, we were told that money is a good that is used in exchange of goods and services. Apart from that, we have various functions of money. And you see that in life, most people just take one function of money.
Which is what? Spending it?
Which is the function of using it as an exchange of goods and services.
Okay.
But when you go beyond that, there are various functions, about 4 additional ones to that. Money acts as a store of value, if you know that. Money acts as a standard of deferred payment. Money gives us value to whatever we have. So the question we ask is, these other functions of money, how do we get addressing them? If we only limit ourselves to the first one, every money you get, you just want to exchange for something. And at that point, you are not doing any savings. You are not preparing any value for yourself. So that brings about the issue of savings. How do you save? That is the big question you are asking, that the resource you have is very limited, even cannot address today's needs. So it brings in something we call sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
You can only sacrifice to start savings.
There are certain things that you cannot sacrifice. You can't sacrifice your child's school fees, for instance. You cannot sacrifice the fact that you have to eat.
You can.
Can you sacrifice your bills? The electricity bill is fixed. The water bill is fixed.
Okay. There are some that are variable. You mentioned the fixed one, fine. You mentioned food.
Yes.
You can sacrifice food.
Okay, so how do you do
must
that?
You must not necessarily eat 3 times a day to survive.
Hey, you must not necessarily eat 3 times a day to survive.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I somehow agree with you.
Yes. So for you to start savings, you can start from your food.
Yeah, but somebody would say, how much are the food? How much would you spend on the
It doesn't matter.
food?
Savings does not start from any big volume. It starts from the small point that you can start from. You understand? If you save 1 pesewa today and you consistently do it, in 10 days, how much are you getting? You are getting closer to 1 cedi.
Yeah, but if you look at the value of the amounts that you will get in 10 days, it probably might discourage you from saving.
No, there's nothing like discouragement. All you need in savings, developing savings habits, is try to be consistent with what you can do. You don't save what you don't have. You save what you have. So save part of your income that you have. No matter how small it is, the most important thing is you must be consistent about it, and over a period of time, you may not have enough time for me to demonstrate to you how projections are made in savings, developing savings culture.
No, go ahead and share with us.
If you have opportunity to set aside 1 Ghana cedi every day for 1 year, how much will you be making?
That's 1 times.
1 times the number of days in a year. That's about 360 what? 365 Ghana cedis. Not so. That is if you are setting aside 1 Ghana cedi every day. If you can do that, which is possible, there are a lot of things we can cut down in our daily expenditure pattern, which can give you at least 1 Ghana cedi a day. There are things, if you don't consume them that day, nothing will happen to you. You still live normally. So why can't we start from that point? And as you do that over a year, now you have about 365 Ghana cedis. You can start something with that. Whatever you earn from that thing, you keep saving that thing over a period of time. You see, we live as if we are just living in a day. That is why we think there's no need to make savings. The school fees you are talking about.
When you die, you won't go with any of the things that you are saving.
So
why don't you just spend it now? Because you never know what is ahead of you.
So do you know when you are dying?
That's the question.
Yes, you don't know when you are dying. That is a behavior of excuse me, somebody who does not plan for the future. That is why your school fee is an issue to you today. Because if you plan towards paying your school fees, by the time your child is getting to O-level, what do you call it?
JHS or
senior high school, you have planned the payment for that school fees already. So it is no more an issue on today's earning. It is a planned program already. Okay. So in our company, we make program that helps people to pay their school fees in advance. Whilst your child is in class 1 today, the pressure to pay school fees for basic, what do you call it?
Education,
it is not on you. So you start planning towards that. After 6 years that you enter the JHS, you have already made provision for that. By the time you get to SHS, you make provision for that. By the time your child gets to university, there's enough provision for payment of school fees, even outside this country.
You know, sometimes the pressure is on and you're thinking about accommodation as well. You're probably thinking of building a house, you know, or buying a land and eventually building. You're thinking of school fees as well. How do you prioritize certain things, or do you do it alongside?
That is what we are using as planning. You even started by bringing something you call budgeting. Budgeting is arranging your expenditure against your revenue for all time. So if you don't do these things in life, you always live a life like what would you call it, firefighting life. As the thing comes, you know you will pay a rent advance in 2 years' time, and you wait until the last day when your landlord come on you. Then you start calling friends. Then you start, behaving as if the well have just started with you. If you live your life like that, and many of us, that is how we live our life. So we always find ourselves in troubles. We always find ourselves as if there's no God, there's nothing happening around you, as if all the problem of this world, you are solving it. It is not like that. It is lack of planning, lack of financial planning that makes our life. We must build a house. I built a house. I didn't just start a day. I worked for several years, planned towards that before I built it. And within the shortest record time, I put up a nice house. You understand? There are many of my colleagues who started work with me. They couldn't do that. The question you ask yourself is, what is the difference? We earn the same salary. We don't do anything extra. The use of our time is also important in planning towards life. If you don't do all these things very well, you see your life in a very crucial moment. That is why you are bringing this issue of saving.
Yeah. So in the family, who should be doing the saving? Is it everybody, including the children?
Yes, everybody. I can assure you, my youngest child is 6-7 years. She has her own money box, and every money you give to her, she makes sure she saves some. So I'm developing that child from this time. By the time she gets to somebody like you, she will have her own reserve to start life with. And such a person, you can see where she will get to. So everybody in the family must develop the habit of saving.
Okay, how about a homemaker, a wife who is only at home? I mean, she doesn't earn money.
She eats every day, as I told you. There's something in Ghana we call chop money. I don't know where from that they think, but the demand is on the you see the homemaker. So the one who provides for the home also to make contribution. I am not saying that a good wife, a good homemaker manages the home. I don't think everything, the income you have is what you use to manage the home. You must make a judicious arrangement to make savings out of that, and at the same time keep the home running perfectly.
It could be genuine that somebody's salary, somebody's take home cannot really take them home in the end. I mean, if you're earning, and I don't want to say any amount because everybody and how much it would take to make them comfortable. But if the money is very small, such that, I mean, it can't even pay a child's school fees.
Well, I think we talked about that already.
Because you are saying...
Once you start making child, you should know that you have a responsibility to look after your children. If you don't have the capacity to make, to look after, there's no
then don't.
pressure on you.
Isn't that so easy to say?
It's so
but
easy to say, but that is life. Such is life. By the way, if you cannot look after your child and you are making, who are you expecting to look after that child for you? Is it me? Who are you expecting? Do you feel responsible to make a child that you cannot look after? You cannot provide food, you cannot provide clothing? Do you feel responsible? So why must you go into it? To understand.
Is it a necessary expenditure to spend on your clothing, for instance, as a person?
You're asking if it's a necessary. Definitely we know by how do I put it? By development now, we are not supposed to be naked. We're supposed to wear clothes. But if you talk about clothes, I think you are not talking about a type of clothes that every weekend you must cut a cloth for a funeral A or B, for party A or B. That one, to me, if you put that one to me, it is not a necessary expenditure. You must live decently. You can plan your life. Check yourself, check your wardrobe. Every dress that within 6 months you cannot wear or you have not wear, it's not necessary to have it. You understand? Even 6 months is too much. Within a month, if you cannot wear a cloth, go to our wardrobes. We have dresses, we have clothes for whoever we keep them for, I don't know. Several years we don't wear them. We wear them once a year, or some of them over 2 years. Do you need it? That money, if you have put it in an investment, by now, even if it's 1 cedi you make on it, it will be helping developing us in a way. And the more the individuals are developing, the economy is developing. I know we are not extending to that yet, but it is the individuals that develops and firms get developed and the economy gets it developed.
You know, one of the big issues that couples would usually argue and fight about, and sometimes as surprising as it may sound, it could even end up in divorce, is finances. Sometimes couple fights over money, or the issue and the discussion about money. Would you advise that couples have a joint account? How should you put your savings, the arrangements, the investments?
Yes, that one cannot be a blanket statement. It depends on every family. Every family must know how best they can manage their finances. I can speak best about myself. When I got married, I thought about, I hear things like that, joint account, whatever, put your investments together. We attempted to do it. We at early age, we realized it's not going to work for us. There's no need hiding anything from your your spouse, so to say, but at the same time, there's no need forcing yourself to do things you don't agree to do. Once the agreement is not there, everybody should be responsible to what you can do best. And that is how we manage our home over 20 years now without any difficulty. Everybody manages his or her finances. Whatever we want to do, we agree. Whatever contribution we genuinely do, everybody does things free of, from a free will perspective. And that's how we manage my wife does not necessarily know how much I earn every day, but whatever she needs, I provide. I don't need to know how much she earns. Whatever the house needs, she provides. So it depends on every family. People do it and they do it perfectly.
If one person is earning way more than the other, would you advise that the person that is earning more should take up more responsibilities in the home?
It depends, like I'm saying, every home and how you manage it. You know, in our culture, it is perceived the man is the head of the family. Fine, it's biblical. The man is the head. But it does not necessarily imply that the man must earn higher than the wife. That is not the logic about it. If the wife, per the job or the business you do, more revenue comes to your hand, why don't you feel free and take care of a bigger responsibility? So it depends on every home and how you address your issues.
Okay. I want to, even though I started with budgeting, we didn't necessarily break it down. I want you to help us budget. I mean, this is a fresh month. How do you put it? Do you write on paper that these are the things that I must necessarily do, and these are the things that, I can forego, and things like that?
Yeah, it is better if you can write. It is better if you can write, because once you write, it guides you. It guides your judgment. It guides your decision making. It helps you to know that you are either overspending on one item or the other, or there's something which is not on the budget line. So I don't need to spend on this month. It must go to another month or another time. So you don't spend your money on that. There's something we call impulse buying. It is very common in Ghana. We buy so many things we don't need, especially in our workplace, on the street. Everything you see, you want to buy. Because a lady came from, US, he brought some items. So quickly, all the ladies will rush to go and look at whether they need or not. Oh, this is nice. This shoe will match with this dress, this whatever. The men will also have
sometimes you even buy a shoe for the future, for a dress that you don't readily have.
It is not necessary, please. You can save that money. And savings is very good. If you go to every family that is perceived rich family today or wealthy family, somebody made a sacrifice one day. Somebody saved something one day and consistently kept it and moved with it. That transformed that family. I practice it, it's working for me. And I know many people who practice it, it works for them. If you like, talk to the so-called rich men, what they have gone through, where they started from. If they tell you sometimes, you will not believe, but that is the fact. Savings is a culture that we must develop in this country. In fact, in Africa, we must develop it. It is very important. It must be a lifestyle. It is not just a book knowledge we are talking about. It must be a lifestyle if we must change. Even as a nation, if you look at the way we do things, sometimes it's crucial. If you don't make any savings for the future, our future is at risk. It's very important.
Can you take a loan as a family to save? I mean, can you take a loan and invest?
You see, we are not taking the things consistently, but systematically, so to say. You can take a loan. What to invest into what? What you are investing in, is it going to give you additional revenue or interest that you can use? Once you use the word loan, you are going to pay an interest on it. There's a cost to every loan. So what you are investing in, can it pay the interest and help you to make additional revenue or income on what loan you are taking? If no, don't take it. If yes, fine. You can take, make some money, pay the loan, pay the interest, and you make some money out of it. So it depends on what investment you are talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was told that around this time when things are really hard, it's a good time to save or to invest.
Yeah, it depends on which area you are talking about. There are several investment strategies or several investment that one can talk about. If things are hard, you don't have enough resources, what are you going to invest? I told you you must do sacrifice, I agree, but it is not necessarily, it is not just said that when things are hard, that is the best time to save. No, there are times that you have windfalls, there are times you have some money, excess money. That is a good time, a better time even to save the excess that you make. You understand? It is not any rule that when things are difficult, that is when you must save. I don't want to go to areas that will make the discussion too difficult. We want to be
You know, the basics, just so anybody can, everybody can understand.
Yes, there are investments like that, but we don't want to go there now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know that this is one subject that a lot of you would want to share your experiences and also ask further questions on. And I was really so looking forward to opening the phone lines. I don't know if the lines are back, but our lines have been down. So you can try and see if you can get through on 0302-211-69102. Let's see if it would go through, and then, but if it's not possible, you can also go to facebook.com/Joy News on TV. We're talking family savings, and if you like, how to balance essential spending and saving for your family. So there are things that are a must that you can do that you cannot cut corners on.
Yes.
What would you say are some of these things?
Oh, depend on individuals from one person to another, because what will be essential to me may not necessarily be essential to somebody. Somebody would think school fee is very essential. Maybe to me, school fee is a normal thing. I don't have to even budget or even worry to pay my child's school fee. So to say, maybe looking at my income. So it is something I can do freely. Somebody, school fees is a necessity. You must make sure you pay it and you struggle to pay. Somebody, food is essential. Somebody, clothing, depending on the timing. So we cannot list any item here now and say these are essential. But at least provision of food, clothing, shelter, these are basic things we all know. They are basic necessities of life, and everybody must be responsible and live up to it. If you have a family that you don't know where your next meal is coming from, I think it's a serious issue. We always want to blame somebody, a pastor, a government, or whoever, but we have to be responsible for ourselves. I have to be responsible for myself, for the children, the wife I have, my parents, fine. So these are things we must look out for in life to make sure we address all the time.
Sometimes when you look at the rent advance that you're paying, it's a lot of money, especially when you have to pay for a period of a year or two. And I want to ask you, you are the expert. Is there another alternative to paying rent in bulks? Most of the time you have no choice. So should you be renting or should you own a house?
That's a good news. Everybody will have wished to own a house. Unfortunately, like we are all seeing or saying, there are other parts of the world where by the time you are 18 years, there's a provision for a kind of house or rooms you can live in as a young person leaving university or starting life. Unfortunately, our part is not well structured like that. So everybody want to own a house, everybody want to build a house, everybody want to own a land and whatever. It is not bad. That is what we have come to live with. But the question is, how do you plan towards that?
Okay, and then just pause there. Let me speak to James. It's a miracle. Our lines are back. James, you're calling from Koforidua. You're on. Good morning to you, James.
Good morning, and let me say thank you for the opportunity. Your guest was talking about school fees and the fact that you need to prepare before even the children get to the school-going age. I have an experience like that. My daughter started preparing my daughter for senior high school. And by the time she got to senior high school, I've been able to save enough money, to pay the school fees, even for 3 years, from senior high school 1 to senior high school, for her to complete. So when she started, I was still working. I was still earning my salary. So I decided to rather invest that bulk of money into an investment, sort of, and continue to borrow, so to speak, for my salary to look after her in secondary school. Now I have the second one who is also getting ready to go to secondary school, and I've started already saving towards that. And I believe that by the time she also gets to secondary school, I'll have another bulk of money to invest because I'll still be working. So I agree with once you bring a child into the world, you start thinking about school fees.
All right.
And therefore, you can start saving, making investments from that angle. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. Very good experience. It's good that we learn from persons like you. Thank you so much for your call. Now that we know that our lines are perfectly working, please feel free to call 0302 211 69102. That's the numbers to call, 0302 211 69102. I catch you there.
Yeah. Where did you catch me?
Okay, but you can just comment on
Yes,
James's savings
like James
habits.
is saying, that is a very good, a very, very good thing. When your anytime, let me put it this way, practically, anytime I visit somebody's wedding, especially if I've been asked to be the chairman or something, what I do is whatever funds you raise from that wedding, I tell them, please, this money, keep it. Don't go and consume it. Don't go and use it to pay for pictures and whatever. Go and invest that money. Very soon your first child is going to come out. From that point, this money, the money you raise on the outdoor day, is for the child's school fees. Put it in an investment. And by the time the child is 6 years, you start class 1.
Okay. Let's go back on the phone line. Speak to Asana. She's joining us from Tamale. Good morning, Asana.
Good morning.
You're on air. Please go ahead.
Yes, please. Yeah, can I, if you want to educate, you want to further your education, is it good to go in for a loan?
Okay. If you want to further your education, whilst you're working, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whilst you are working. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, David,
And
can you?
talking about planning, you get money and then you are supposed to help people around you and all those things. At the end of the day, you don't have to even pay some because you want to sacrifice for other people. Is it also a good?
Okay. So, other people who are not necessarily your family.
Yeah, sometimes brothers, sisters, and all those things.
All right. Okay. So, David.
Yeah, that's a good question. Borrowing for further education. One thing once you are using the word borrow, means it's a loan you are taking.
You're going to pay back with interest.
You're going to pay back with interest. I want you. It does not necessarily mean what you use the money for, but you must demonstrate the ability to pay back. You must be sensitive to the fact that it's a loan and you must pay back. If you use it for education, good, fair enough. The hope is that after you upgrade yourself, you're going to get a better job or a better pay, so you have enough money to pay off. So let's be sensitive to the fact that once we are taking a loan, we are going to pay back. So depending on what you use for, must be something that will make enough revenue to pay back the loan. Having said this, we have a system in our culture that once somebody is coming out or doing a bit well in the family, everybody puts all the pressure on that person. And eventually, if you are not careful, if that person, you are not careful, you want to shoulder everything, you scramble and collapse, and the whole family go down. We must be sensitive to what we can do and what we cannot do.
Sure.
If you cannot do it, please don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't go about borrowing money to solve people's problem.
Okay.
And eventually you couldn't pay, then you become a debtor. And eventually you have to run away from your family, run away from your own home because they are chasing you. Please, I don't think it's a wise advice. Do what you can do. Live within your means. Don't do what you cannot afford to show that.
All right. On that note, I'll pick my very last call. It's Ayariga, but it's not the Honorable Information Minister. This is Ayariga calling from the Upper East region. Good morning to you, Ayariga.
Yeah, good morning.
Please go on, you're on air.
Yeah, I'm enjoying your program, but I want to make some little contribution and also a question. Yeah, what you are saying, I understand it better, but there are some instances where there's nothing you can do about it. Like you're discussing, it's about, if I want to consider it like you are discussing in the form of the Western type of life. Now, we are in Ghana here, and you know the kind of family system we are running.
Okay, so Ayariga, let's be specific. We want to help you. So tell us the challenge that you have, that you think you cannot afford to save.
Yeah, that's what I'm coming. Yeah, I'm talking about the extended family system. It happens that you are the only person who is earning, and then you are living in the family of many. You are the only breadwinner to the family. In that case, and then even before the end of the month, what you think cannot even solve all the problems, and even to the extended family. Everybody runs to you for help. In that case, what do you do? And there are also instances whereby you see the people who are not responsible, they get pregnant. Like mad people, you go to town, you see them being pregnant. Such children, how are they going to make it in life? So I see a lot of things happening whereby people grow up to face a lot of challenges. So this time my contribution I want to make, and back to the family system. I was saying that where you are the only breadwinner, and then there's a lot of so many.
I get you. And on that, I also want to ask you, if you were not working, where would the families go to? Who would they go to if you were not there?
And that's the unfortunate situation. So
Okay.
I'm talking about where you are the only breadwinner.
I get you. And I'm also asking you, what if you did exist, but you didn't have a job? Do you get me?
Well, yeah.
What would be the option for the family?
That's why I say it is the unfortunate situation. And I think such families, if I want to look at the families, they face a lot of challenges.
Okay.
I hope you can.
All right, we
can,
get you. And David will address, the things that you've come up with. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you for your call.
Yeah, quick one to you, Mr. Ayariga. The fact of the matter is you cannot give what you don't have. If you don't have, you don't have it. Don't kill yourself just because somebody is asking you. If you have it, you will do. It is just like exposing a baby lion to a dog. What will happen to it? A lion is a lion. Everybody knows it's a strong.
So what if
animal.
they've called you that your auntie is in the hospital? I mean, what do you do? And you're the only person that is working.
Die. You don't have it. She's in the hospital. We all agree, but you don't have. So what must you do? That is why I'm telling you it's essential to make savings. If you do savings and you become financially strong, you can do stronger things. So if you groom that small lion and it grow up to become a full-fledged lion, expose him to the dog and see what will happen. It will totally divorce the dog cannot even get closer. So if you are feeble, you are feeble. If you are not strong financially, you are not strong. Don't kill yourself. Otherwise, the person they are running to, you will destroy and the whole family will go down. Build your foundations. Be strong financially. By savings. When you are strong, you can help more people and people will appreciate it than attempting to do what you cannot do and eventually the whole system collapse. This is what we do. Even in buildings, you see the buildings that are collapsing. The foundations are not strong. You put so much huge structure on it, it will come down. So in life, it's the same thing. People take investment for granted. It is a profession. It is a vocation that is developed with strategies. So you don't just do anything like I'm saving so you put money anywhere. No, you talk to professional when it comes to the issue of investment. Don't just do it. It is like medicine. If you are sick, you don't just take anything and swallow. You go to the doctor. If you want to do investment, talk to the experts. They will advise you. But for savings, it must start from you. You must develop that habit, and it must start from sacrifice. As you sacrifice, you must be consistent. As you are consistent, you grow your wealth. And when you come to a wealthy level, then you now talk to professionals, to the experts. They advise you where to place your monies. Then you grow up from there and make yourself a wealthy person in the society.
All right, and you speak so passionately about this one.
Yes, I am so mad at it.
Yeah, I know, but thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you, and I like, you know, everything that you've said. The fact that we have no excuse. I mean, even if it's one Ghana cedi that you can afford to put down, then that's the way to go. All right, so thank you very much, David Kofi Walker is chairman of World Vision Financial Services Limited, formerly of the Bank of Ghana. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Up next.